Hey friend, can I tell you something I don't think we hear often enough? You don't have to be someone else to be beautiful. You don't have to be younger, louder, thinner, or more put together to matter. You don't need to wait until you've got your dream job or until someone picks you to start living like you're already worthy. Because you are. And I know that might sound like something you've read on a Pinterest board, but I say it with the kind of knowing that only time and life can teach. I'm 40 now. I'm married, I have 2 sons, and I've lived long enough to finally understand that true confidence doesn't come from fixing yourself. It comes from finally seeing that you were never broken. When I think back to my early 20s, I see a young woman who was always trying to catch up. Catch up to what, exactly? I'm still not sure. She was rushing to land a great job, trying to fall in love fast so she wouldn't miss her window, trying to become some polished, impressive version of herself before 30. And when that didn't happen exactly on schedule, she panicked. She thought she'd failed. She didn't know back then that life has no perfect timeline, just seasons, and each one unfolds differently for each of us. In my 20s, I was constantly measuring myself, measuring against timelines, expectations, other women, invisible standards. I remember feeling behind all the time, behind in love, behind in career, behind in confidence. I'd smile through it, but deep down I was overwhelmed by the sense that I was always late to the life I was supposed to be living. I wish I could go back and hold that younger version of me and whisper, "You are not behind, you're just becoming." No one told me that growth looks like wandering, that clarity often comes after confusion, that sometimes the brightest glow happens after you stop chasing it. So here's what I've learned, and maybe it'll help you too. Your glow, it won't come from being noticed. It comes from being known by yourself first. When you slow down long enough to get curious about what you believe, what you value, what makes you feel alive, that's where the radiance begins. It's not something you earn, it's something you uncover. And that uncovering takes time, stillness, and the kind of honesty that feels awkward at first. If you're single and trying to figure it all out, I've been there. You are not late. You are not less. You are building something from within that no one else can see yet, but you'll feel it. And if you're in your 40s like me, and maybe you've spent so many years giving, raising, and showing up for everyone else, I want you to know you still have permission to rediscover your own light. It's not too late. In fact, this may be exactly the right time. That's what I want to share with you in this space. Not steps to a perfect life, but reminders of the beauty in your real one. Whether you're 20 and searching, or 40 and slowly settling into your skin, your glow matters. You don't need to fight to earn it. You just need to stop hiding it. Let's talk about perfection. Or more honestly, let's talk about the pressure to be perfect. Because if you're anything like me, you've probably spent more years than you can count trying to get it all right. The right words, the right body, the right timing, the right everything. And somewhere along the way, the pursuit of perfect stole something really precious, our peace. I remember the first time I realized I was parenting from a place of performance. It was a school morning. I had spilled coffee on my shirt, my son couldn't find his shoes, and I was already snapping at everyone before we even got in the car. The guilt hit me hard. Not because it was a rough morning, but because I felt like I had failed at being the calm, put-together mom I thought I was supposed to be. That moment changed me. Not overnight, not with some magical epiphany, but it cracked something in me, a layer of pressure that had been weighing on my shoulders for years. I started noticing all the places I was chasing an impossible standard. In marriage, in motherhood, in how I looked, how I spoke, how I showed up in the world. And do you know what I discovered? That perfection isn't inspiring. Vulnerability is. Authenticity is. Grace is. The kind of grace that says, I showed up. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that's enough. If you're sitting here thinking, I've messed up too much, or I can't seem to get it right, let me tell you you're not alone. I've burned dinners, forgotten appointments, missed deadlines, said the wrong thing, said nothing when I should have spoken. But every one of those moments taught me how to be more present, more gentle, more human. You don't have to be flawless to be loved. You don't have to be impressive to be valuable. And you don't need a perfect track record to start again. One of the most healing things I started doing was keeping a monthly journal, not to track achievements, but to record moments of growth. Not the kind you post online, but the kind you feel in your chest. Like the time I paused before reacting, or chose rest over hustle, or forgave myself for being tired. Those quiet wins are what build a life with depth. And if you're younger, I want you to know early that perfection is a myth. You'll never arrive at a version of yourself that doesn't make mistakes. That's not how life works. The mess is where the meaning lives. And to my fellow women in their 30s, 40s, and beyond, you don't owe anyone a flawless version of yourself. Your family doesn't need a perfect mom. Your spouse doesn't need a perfect wife. Your friends don't need a perfect cheerleader. They need you, present, soft when you can be, honest when you can't, available in your imperfection, and most of all, kind to yourself. That's how we glow, not by trying harder to shine, but by being softer with our souls. Let's talk about change, not the kind that sneaks up on you, but the kind that stares at you in the mirror and asks, "Who are you becoming now?" Because the truth is, your glow will shift. It won't always look like it did at 20 or 30, and that's not something to grieve, it's something to grow into. In my 20s, my light looked like late nights dreaming big, saying yes to every opportunity, learning who I was by trying everything once. I was bold, curious, messy, and eager to be seen. In my 40s, that light has softened. It doesn't burn quite as wildly, but it warms more deeply. It's the kind of glow that comes from knowing what matters and letting go of what doesn't. Sometimes, though, we resist that shift. We try to squeeze back into the old light, the one that got attention, the one that felt exciting. We miss the energy we used to have, the body we used to live in, the girl we used to be. And that's okay. It's okay to miss her. But don't let missing her stop you from meeting the woman you are now. She's wiser. She's steadier. She's glowing in a quieter way, but it's no less powerful. I used to think I had to maintain the same version of myself to stay valuable. That if I slowed down, got softer, needed more rest, or stopped chasing, I'd be falling behind. But what I've found is the opposite. I've found that my deeper glow didn't come from pushing harder, it came from listening closer, to God, to my body, to the quiet longings in my heart that used to be drowned out by noise. And once I started embracing those parts of me, I realized my light never left. It just changed shape. So if you're noticing the shift, maybe you're craving simplicity or solitude or slower mornings, lean into it. That's still your glow, just speaking in a new language. Maybe you no longer don't care about proving yourself, and now you care more about being present with the people you love. That's growth. Maybe you don't show up in high heels anymore, but you show up with a full heart. That's radiance. Maybe your light isn't loud anymore, but it's loyal, it's lived in, and it lights the way for others who are still finding their own. You don't have to mourn who you were, you just have to honor who you are. Let your light evolve. Let it rest. Let it rise again in new places, in new ways, for new seasons. Because glowing isn't about keeping up. It's about staying close to what makes you feel alive right now. Let's talk about the people in our lives, the ones we keep close, the ones we quietly drift from, the ones we're still trying to impress. Because here's something I've learned. The company you keep has the power to either reflect your true light or make you feel like you have to dim it. For a long time, I surrounded myself with people who seemed to like me most when I was performing, smiling even when I was tired, agreeing when I disagreed, shrinking myself so they could feel bigger. And I didn't even realize how much of myself I was hiding until one day I didn't recognize the version of me I had become. I think we all reach a point maybe in our 30s, maybe after becoming mothers, maybe after enough life knocks us down when we stop having the energy to pretend. We start craving depth, truth. People who see us without filters and love us anyway. And that shift is beautiful, but also lonely sometimes. Because as we evolve, our circle often changes. Some friendships fall away not because of drama, but because they no longer make space for the version of us that's growing. That's okay. That's not failure. That's alignment. Growth makes room for what's real. I've learned to seek out mirrors, people who reflect who I truly am, back to me. Not just who I was in the past. Not just who they wish I'd be, but who I am right now. That includes the messy parts, the quiet parts, the strong and the scared parts. True friends don't just hype you up when you're winning. They sit beside you when you're doubting. They remind you of your worth when you can't see it for yourself. If you're younger and building your circle, I hope you know that you don't have to overextend yourself to be liked. You don't have to say yes to everything or everyone. You're allowed to choose people who bring peace, not pressure. And if you're older, like me, and you've outgrown a few relationships lately, don't feel guilty. That's what growth does. It clarifies. It realigns. It reveals who truly honors the woman you're becoming. Take a moment and think. Who feels safe? Who makes you laugh without performing? Who listens without fixing? Who cheers when you rest, not just when you hustle? Those are your people. Keep them close. You don't need a crowd. You need mirrors. People who make you feel more like yourself, not less. Let's talk about giving yourself permission. Not just to rest or recover, but to shine. Because for many of us, somewhere along the way, we learn to make ourselves smaller. We learn to tone down our dreams, our voices, our excitement, just in case it made someone else uncomfortable. I've done it. I've dimmed my own light to avoid looking too much, too loud, too ambitious, too emotional, too confident. And what I didn't realize then was that every time I did that, I was stepping further away from the woman I was created to be. And the truth is, many women struggle with this, especially as we move through different roles in life. We become caretakers, partners, professionals, helpers. We pour out constantly. And after a while, it starts to feel indulgent or even selfish to ask, what do I want? But asking that question is not selfish. It's sacred. Because when you honor the light inside you, it spreads. When you come alive, the people around you feel it. Your children see it. Your spouse is inspired by it. Your community is lifted by it. We don't need more women disappearing into their responsibilities. We need more women showing up as themselves, on fire with their own aliveness. So whether you're 20 and still figuring it out, or 40 and rediscovering your joy, I want to remind you that it's not too late. You are not too much. You are not too far behind. And you don't need permission from anyone else to take up space, create, speak, dance, write, rest, start again. There is room for all of it in you. As we close, I want to say this one last thing. Your glow is not a performance. It's not about always being cheerful or polished or productive. It's about being rooted in who you are and allowing that truth to light the room when you walk in. Some days it'll shine brighter than others. That's okay. Some seasons will feel dimmer. That's part of it. But the glow doesn't leave you. It lives in you. So wherever you are in your journey, whether you feel radiant today or not, I hope you'll remember this. You were never meant to disappear in the background. You were meant to live fully, honestly, beautifully. And that starts not with proving anything, but with trusting what's already inside of you. Thank you for being here with me today. If this spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it. Comment below with one truth you're reclaiming for yourself. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep growing together, one honest conversation at a time. You don't need permission to shine, but just in case you've been waiting for it, here it is. Shine, friend. Shine anyway.